All right, welcome. Everybody's resting well in the lunchtime, sitting here. But let me first start with a question. Who came here by hydrogen car today? All right, these are all colleagues of mine, actually. And so we are walking the talk. We're not just talking about hydrogen, we are actually driving hydrogen cars. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about modular hydrogen refueling stations and what they can mean for you. My name is Rob Castien, I'm the CEO of the company, and we're a Dutch company. So when I say we're walking the talk, we are not going to show you beautiful 3D graphics of things that we think we might be building in the future. I'm going to show you pictures of things that we've already built and that they are working. All right, that's a big difference with many companies that you have around the show here. This actually works in the field today and yesterday and tomorrow. So we have about 50 stations that we are building and have built in Europe. And actually today I have a good news, because today we sold our first station in Iceland. So we're all the way up north, very cold. And we're building a station in Iceland. We received the purchase order today. But we have 50 plus units in order. So we're really building the infrastructure for the future. So we believe, with market reports from McKinsey and all those kind of people, that in about 5, 6, 7 years from now, there will be 2,000 to 3,000 refueling stations, hydrogen refueling stations in Europe. Now you might think that's a lot, but there's more than 120,000 normal refueling stations in Europe. So actually in 2030, less than 2% of the refueling stations in Europe will have a hydrogen nozzle, all right? But still, it's 10 times more than that we have today. So that's still a very, very rapid growth. So things are happening. So we are expecting 2,000 to 3,000 stations by 2030. And we want to be a top 3 player in that. So what do we actually offer to the market? We offer different modular systems. So we start with a very small unit, we call it the fleet owner station. And it's really a station that you would put on the parking lot of an office building. So in our company, we have 7 hydrogen cars. And in our company, we can come up in the morning, hook up the nozzle, takes about 45 minutes. It's like a hydrogen supercharger, the same energy transfer rate as an electrical supercharger. And we refuel the car in 45 minutes, and then the next one and the next one. And so that's where you can get started. It's a very small solution. But of course, we also have the bigger stations that are the public stations or bus fleet stations or transport company stations that have a much bigger capacity. So here you have the example of the fleet owner station. It's a very small unit. You can get it on a skid. It's transportable, costs 250,000 euros. Okay, it's a little expensive for at home maybe, but for a company it's very, very doable to get started. But then if you get into the bigger stations, our main product line today is what we call the full-size station, and it's between 1,000 and 3,000 kilograms per day capacity. And that is already quite big. Because 10 years ago, the H2 mobility platform started in Germany. And they developed refueling stations 200 to 400 kilograms per day, mainly focused on passenger cars. And the problem today with these stations is that they are too small to have a business case. Yes, the investment was relatively low, but the stations are too small to have a business case in the future. And they are not expandable. You cannot increase the capacity. So what we see in the UK, for instance, a couple of stations have been closed, these smaller stations. In the Netherlands, they've closed a couple of stations. In Germany, they're closing a couple of the H2 mobility stations because they were too small, or they were big enough for that moment 10 years ago, but they're too small for the future. Low investment then, but difficult to expand later on. So that's how we rethought the business model. What do our customers really need? They need an investment that works today and an investment that works tomorrow. So we have the full-size station, 1,000 to 3,000 kilograms per day. And this is actually a station in Rostock at Apex, one of our customers. And it's about a one station, 1,000 kilogram per day station for 835 trucks and buses and 870 passenger cars. And they have set up their entire infrastructure with electrolyzers, making hydrogen, storing it, refueling it, doing different things with it. It's a really interesting place. So here I have a picture of a system in Groningen, and where the municipality of Groningen, they invested a lot in getting hydrogen trucks. Sewer trucks, street sweepers, utility trucks, waste garbage trucks, and they're refueling them at the station. But you can also have normal cars, of course. 1,000 kilogram a day station. You can have unlimited back-to-back refueling. Everybody familiar with back-to-back refueling? If you drive a hydrogen car and you get to a station, a small station, you refuel your car, the next one comes, now you need to wait, which is not a very pleasant experience. So in our stations, we sped up the process such that you can refuel one after the other. In the one car, next car. You go to YouTube, we have a movie that we refuel 16 cars, one after the other. Boom, 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 boom. And we told people, you can come with your hydrogen car, refueling is free, and we got 16. You know, the Dutch, they do everything for a free free gas, huh? But after 16, we ran out of cars, but we could be refueling the whole day, no problem. Then the next level is 2,000 kilograms a day. This is a station operating in Neumünster, north of Hamburg. And today it's the biggest refueling station in Europe. 2,000 kilograms a day. It's AFIR compliant. AFIR is the Alternative Fuel Infrastructure Regulation. That's basically legislation from the EU that every 200 kilometers we shall have a HRS by 2030. This station is compatible with that today. And these stations need to have a minimum of 1,000 kilograms a day. This one is 2,000, could be 3,000. But the stations are there, and we will be rolling them out, as Europe is requesting from us. Huh? So this specific station, you have two 350, two truck nozzles, and one passenger car nozzle. All right? All right, so what are the major components of a refueling station? And this way we will get into the modularity discussion. So you have really four main modules in a station. First of all, you have the compressor. And the compressor is compressing the gas into a buffer, storing it at 500 or 1,950 bar in the station for the refueling of the vehicle. So you have the compressor, you have the buffer, and then when you let the pressure go from the buffer into the vehicle, you need to cool it. So you have a cooling module in the system, and then finally it goes through the dispenser at 350 or 700 bars, and you get it into the car, or the truck or the bus. So you really have four modules that you have in the station. Compressor, buffer, cooling, and the dispenser. So now the question is, when you start a business case today with a refueling station, it usually looks pretty red. You're not making money in the beginning of the station. As a station, any station operators here or not? Okay, so the business case is not so good in the beginning, but there is hope, huh? So in the beginning, the business case is bad. So what you want to do is you want to limit the amount of capex you invest to get the station up and going, because you need to create the demand locally with your local customers, with your maybe a trucking company or a bus company or a company that's starting to drive personal vehicles. You need to start creating demand. We started with one hydrogen car in the company. Now we have 7. Next week we get another 3. We have 10. But it took us 3 years to get there, right? So the same will happen with transport companies or bus companies. They'll start a pilot with 2 buses and then 5 and then 10, etc. So what you want to do is you want to lower the investment today, but able to grow into the future. So hence, you want to have a modular system. The other thing about modularity is that you have the same modules. So a station is for 20 years, right? It's not for 3 years. And 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you still want to be able to service it. So if your station today is a project specifically engineered for you, oh, it's perfect for my requirements. And 10 years from now, the software guy left in the company, the drawings are not complete, it's going to be a nightmare to maintain it. So you want to have standardized modules, any color as long as it's black, basically. You want to have standardized modules, and if you want to increase your capacity or change your configuration, you add modules. And that is exactly how we designed our system. So if you look at the supply side, today, most of the systems are supplied with high-pressure tube trailers. But what will be your supply in the future? Still tube trailers? Or do you have a local electrolyzer grid with 30 to 40 bars? Remains to be seen. You don't know in 10 years what your supply will be. So our station has an inlet pressure range of 10 to 500 bars. We can take high pressure, we can take low pressure. It doesn't matter. Because you don't know today what you'll have in 10 years from now. Then you can have a compressor. You have a compressor, let's say 1,000 kilograms a day. You have buffers, you have cooling, and then you have a dispenser. But if the bus fleet of your local transportation company is growing from, let's say, 10 to 50 buses, you need a bigger station. And in that way, in our system, you can add compressors, you can add buffers, you can add cooling. So you can start with one configuration today, and maybe that's good for the rest of the lifetime of the station, or in 5 years you want to increase it. So we very much believe in standardization, so you're able to drive down the cost and make it maintainable in the long run, but also it gives you the flexibility to grow the station with your business case as it develops. So that is the main message that we have today. You can visit us to talk in detail and talk about business cases in booth A74 in hall 3, right at the beginning, at the entrance. We'll be happy to discuss it. And got a little bit of time left, so I'll take any questions if you have them. There's a microphone available if you have any questions. This is the part where you participate, huh? No questions? All right, then I'll leave the controller here. I think I need to do that. And hope to see you in our booth. Thank you very much.